My name is Rishabh, and in this video, I'll be teaching you Python. Not just in this video, I'll actually be taking a 10 or 12 part series. And in that series, you'll learn the basics of Python and also how to implement it into your own projects. So, without wasting any more time, let's get into it. Before we discuss Python in detail, let's discuss what is programming. Because programming is essentially the most fundamental skill you need to learn any new language. And programming is basically giving the computer a set of instructions to follow so that it can perform a task. In our case, that task could be anything like maybe performing some percentage calculation or even giving just a simple print statement. But nonetheless, programming is very important, so let's discuss. There are multiple ways to go about programming. There are so many languages that you can choose from, such as Python, C++, Java, JavaScript, and underneath all the syntaxes, they're basically just the same thing. They're converting high-level language to binary language. Now you may be wondering, why don't we just give these instructions to the computer in the form of English? The problem is that the computer doesn't understand any language apart from binary. And binary is just zeros and ones. Zero standing for off and one standing for on. But we don't understand binary. So what we do is we dumb down our language to get it to a high level language, which in our case would be Python. But you can also use other high level languages like Java, JavaScript, C++. And then what happens is that there's an interpreter or a compiler in some languages that basically converts that high level language into binary so that the computer can understand it. And that is the process that is followed when we are programming. So it's important to learn these high level languages. Now, the next question on your mind might be, why are we learning Python in specific? And to answer that question, I would say that for beginners, the best language to learn is Python because it's the most English-like language out of all of them. It reads like English, and most of its syntax is basically English words. Now, if you're not familiar with programming, the number of users matters a lot. That is because if a language has more users than another one, it will be preferred by developers to make libraries and frameworks for. And that is why Python has a lot of built-in libraries and frameworks that you can just use out the box. Those include NumPy, PyTorch, and so many more. Another reason we use Python is because of its versatility. It's basically the Swiss Army knife of languages. You can use it to make data analytic models, AI models, apps, you name it. So that's why we use Python in specific. Now that we've discussed why we use Python and what is programming, let's get into the details of it. Let's first learn how to install Python on our machine and then how to program with it. To start downloading Python, you need to search up Python download, and that will take you directly to the Python link. Here, you will see this button which says download Python 3.14.6. It is suggesting me the macOS version because I'm searching from macOS, but if it's not showing you the correct version for your laptop or your computer, you can just select the operating system that you're using, Windows, Unix, Android, other. Now, you're going to click on this button because it's the latest version of Python. If you're watching this video in the future, then this will have changed to some other version, say 3.14.8 or anything. When you click on this, it's going to ask you if you want to allow it permissions. Yes, you're going to say that. Now it's going to download. And there we have it. Before we move any further, I'd like to discuss about IDEs and text editors. An IDE basically stands for an integrated development environment. A good example of this would be VS Code, which I have open right here. These are very good tools to write programs because they help corrections when your code is wrong. They highlight different parts of your codes in different colors. Say, for example, I write print the world. Now you see here, print is highlighted in a different color, purple, and hello world is blue. This helps differentiate what different elements in your code can represent. So I would strongly suggest that you research which IDE you want to use and then you download it and you make all your programs in that IDE. Now, let's start by making our first program. So, we're going to make a very basic one, and it will just be a print statement. If I type print, brackets open, hello world, and run this command, then you can see that in our terminal, it has printed hello world. So from this, we can understand that the print statement basically works like an English print. It just prints whatever you type in the bracket. There are many other basic statements that you need to be introduced to like print, but those will come in later videos. For now, let's discuss what variables are. A variable is exactly what it sounds like. It's something that's value varies. So for example, if I say that a is equal to 10, then a is a variable. I can change its value to 20 or even 30, and that won't matter because we assign variables values ourselves. And it's also important to note that they don't need to be necessarily numbers. They can also be strings. Say this is a string. This is also a valid variable. Or they can be floating point numbers, which are basically decimals. 30.5 is also a valid variable. Or they can be true or false. Those are Boolean values. Now you may be wondering, what are these strings, numbers, and these Boolean values? So there are different data types in Python that we use to differentiate different types of data. Say that I write a number. This is considered an integer. There are also other data types such as floats. Floats are basically decimals. Now that I've written 30.5, it considers it as a type of floating point value. We already discussed strings. Strings are basically just a piece of text. This is a string. They have to be enclosed in these double quotes, otherwise it will not allow you to write it. Here we see that it's given us an error. That's one of the nice parts about having an IDE that we discuss. It shows you where your errors are. It's underlined, which means that there's something wrong here. But as soon as I put it back in its double quotes, or single quotes if you want, it will go away. Now that we have discussed data types, let's go on to input and output. Now, input and output, what does that mean? Input basically means giving the input to the computer, and output basically means receiving the output from the computer. Now, to take input, you basically have to store the input inside a variable. That could be any variable of your liking. Say I take a variable x, and I want the x to store my name. So my name would be a string value. So we have to specify that we're going to take a string value. To do that, we'll type str, open brackets, and then press input. Here, x is the variable that will be storing the input value that we give it. str represents the type of input that it will be giving, which in this case is string, and input brackets is basically just a function of Python that lets you take input directly. Inside these brackets, you could add an optional string that could represent a prompt. Say, if I write enter your name, it will be printed alongside my input. Here, enter your name has been printed, which tells me that this is an input, and I can write my name here. And oh, that's a wrong spelling, but that's okay. Now, let's analyze what I've written here. X. What is X? We discussed X is a variable. The value of X is after this equal to sign. This is an assignment operator. We'll come to operators in a little bit, but before that, let's discuss the right side of this operator. str basically just states what kind of input I want. str in this case is just string. If I change this to int, it would expect a number. Next, inside the bracket, we have input. This input method, the one that I've highlighted here, basically tells the computer that when this program runs, at this point in time, when x, it reaches the point x, so basically it will run this line and then it will come to this line. When it reaches x, it will ask me for an input. It won't run any further until I've entered a value. So if I run this, and let's say I run this, I will enter my name because it's prompted me to enter my name. But here an error has occurred. And what that error says, that invalid literal int. Basically, I entered that I'm expecting an integer value, but I entered my own name, which is not an integer value. It's a string value. But if I change that to be str and then run the program and write my name, then there is no problem. It accepts it. So now that we have learned how to take inputs, let's learn how to give outputs. This statement right here is basically an output statement. It outputs the sentence hello world. But we can also use variables to give an output, say print x. What this does is it just prints whatever is stored in the variable x. But I'll give you a reminder right here. When we run this program again, it will ask for my name again. This is because every time you run the program, it resets all the variables. And as we can see, my name is printed here. This is a very basic form of input and output, and most of the times this is exactly what you'll be doing, storing values in your variables, using them for calculations and whatnot, and then giving an output using those values. Now, as I mentioned before, let's move on to operators. Operators are basically mathematical symbols, or sometimes they can be lexical symbols that are used to perform actions on specific values. Those values could be fixed values or they could be your variables, but nonetheless, they help mutate our values very easily. Some of the simple operators that you might be familiar with are plus, minus, star, which stands for multiply, and also the slash, which is divide. These are our basic mathematical operators, but there are also some others. Double star, which star stands for exponents. So if I say 6 double star 3, that would be 6 to the power 3. There is also an other operator, which is our modulus. Modulus is basically the percentage sign right here. Say if I operate 5 modulus 3, it basically performs the division 5 divided by 3 and then gives us the remainder, which would be 2 in our case. So the modulus operator is quite useful. You may not necessarily see it right now, but when you make your own programs, you'll see that this is one of the most frequently used operators. There is also a double slash. Now, what this does is basically floor division. We can see that this is correct. When we divide 10 by 4, we get 2.5. That's just maths. But with the floor division operator, the program will convert that to the highest possible integer that is not over this. So here we have 2.5. The highest integer that's still smaller than this would be 2. We can use this in practice. Say I remove all this and basically make a variable that is the floor division of 10 divided by 4. And if I print x, we will see that it is exactly 2. Here, we see that it is 2. Now that was all about the mathematical operators, but there are also some other operators, which are namely the assignment operator, which is equal to. We have already used this operator. This is basically used to assign values to variables. Say x is equal to 10. Here, the assignment operator is used to tell that x should be assigned the value 10. There is also the double equal to, which is basically the comparison operator. This is not alone. There is x is greater than 10, x is less than 10, x is greater than equal to 10, x is less than equal to 10. All these operators are used to compare values. All these four are self-explanatory. Now let's talk about this one. What does this exclamation mark mean? The exclamation mark is a not operator. Basically, it just checks the double equal to and then inverts it. Now here we are comparing the value of x with 10. If I print this, it should print true. This is because x, we have assigned the value 10 and it should be equal to 10. But as soon as I do this, it will give the value false. This is also the case when we use the not equal to operator. The not equal to is basically represented by an exclamation mark followed by a single equal to sign. When I run this, this is also false because x not equal to 10 is obviously false. We have assigned the value 10, so 10 should be equal to 10. Now there are some other very important operators, which are the and or operator. And or. The and is basically just the Anderson symbol, and the or is basically the big line on your keyboard that is above your backslash. These will be covered in future videos, but it's just good to know for now. All right, so what's the recap for today's session? We have learned what is programming, what are the different programming languages, why we use different programming languages, what is Python, why we use Python, what is an IDE. We have discussed about variables, their data types, operators, and all the basics that you may need in future videos. So, from the next lecture, we'll start making basic programs that could include things that we've already covered in today's lesson. So thanks for watching today, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.